I should get a chance to play. I think Enes should get a chance to play. I think we'll be able to elevate the game, and that's what's most important. I want to bring more focus to the superiority of the WNBA. I'm just having the time of my life. I'm living in my feminine era. I'm definitely going through a glow up.
This is pure gold. Drizzle Drizzle. Oh my goodness. I can't remember laughing so hard making content. And I'm so happy that the mic was on, because that was literally my reaction to the foolishness that's going on right now with the WNBA. Royce White is a troll, and this interview with Newsmax is hilarious. Brace yourself, because I was almost crying on the floor laughing.
Ain't that a man?
Here with us now is Royce White. Good to see you, sir, although I don't know if I should be calling you sir given the latest here. So, Royce, what are you hoping to get out of declaring for the WNBA draft?
I'm just having the time of my life. I'm living in my feminine era. I'm definitely going through a glow up.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I'm going through a huge glow up right now. And I can't believe all the hate I've received. That's probably the most shocking thing, is the hate that I've received in the first 72 to 100 or so hours of my existence, my public existence. The left is just vicious. Death threats. You should commit suicide. Your mother should be ashamed. It's absolutely eye-opening, the hate that people have lived with. It's just a shock that most of it comes from the American political left.
Well, Michelle Tafoya also went on to say when she was talking to us that, she used to cover the league in the early years, and it was about celebrating women in sports. Your thoughts on how far the NBA or WNBA has gotten away from that?
I feel like you're baiting me, but I'll go ahead and say it anyway. Michelle Tafoya needs to get her priorities straight about the sanctity of life and the unborn women in the womb. And once she gets those things clarified, then her and I can discuss my gender future in the association.
All right. Well, speaking about your gender future in the association, in all seriousness, I mean, what do you think it took to get the WNBA to this particular point? Because the league is saying this is a nuanced issue, but in reality, it seems very clear that it's not.
Well, yes, certainly not a clear-cut issue. And I think that I should get a chance to play. I think Enes should get a chance to play. I think all sometimes identifying as transgender black lesbians should get a chance to play. That's my official identity. I'm a sometimes identifying as a transgender black lesbian. And we should all have a fair shake per the rules. I mean, let's just follow the rules as they're stated. And I think we'll be able to elevate the game. And that's what's most important. I want to bring more focus to the superiority of the WNBA.
Well, the leaders of the WNBA, they've come out. They're pretty hot under the collar about this whole thing, and they. All right, Royce White, thank you very much.
Good luck in the draft. Okay, with us now is Sophia Laurie.
Oh my goodness. This is hilarious. I just can't believe this is happening. Two grown men, Enes Kanter, Freedom, and a sitting Senate candidate trying to walk onto a WNBA roster. And Royce isn't even pretending this is real. Watch the anchor's face. She's smiling through half of this because even she knows it's a bit.
That's my official identity. I'm a sometimes identifying as a transgender black lesbian.
My brother, pick a lane. This is that drizzle drizzle shit. Political theater, wearing a jersey, and it's working because a Senate candidate just turned an eligibility policy debate into a 48-hour news cycle by trolling his way onto it. Some people will only understand how ridiculous this is when they are directly confronted with it.
NBA star declares for the WNBA draft. NBA star. Royce White was not an NBA star. Royce White was an NBA footnote. He was an NBA, oh yeah, he was there also. Royce White matters to the NBA as much as a grain of sand matters to the beach. NBA star. Royce White played in 3 NBA games. His total cumulative stats were 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, and 2 fouls. That was his NBA career. Royce White's foul to point ratio is not definable by our society's understanding of math. NBA star. Royce White is a loser. I mean that literally. Royce White lost his only NBA game he ever played more than 1 minute. He wrote a book about how he was leaving basketball to start an MMA career. Got in one MMA fight and lost it. Ran for office in 2022 and lost. Ran for office in 2024 and lost. The only reason that he's doing this stunt is because he's running for office again this year and he's going to lose again. I am one of 15 people in this world that remembers Royce White from basketball. And that's because I was obsessed with basketball at that time. How can we have a conversation about anything when you're telling me to my face that Royce White was an NBA star?
This is pure gold. By every basketball metric that exists, this man was a footnote. And that's exactly the problem, because none of those stats matter here. He's 35 years old, 6'8". Those two numbers alone put him miles outside the physical range of anyone currently playing in that league, regardless of what his box score looked like a decade ago against totally different competition. So gentlemen, real talk, I would pay actual money, front row, to watch this man dunk on one of these WNBA ladies.
So many people want this to happen. They want to see what it's like for a former NBA player to play against women. This is the headline. And honestly, at this point in time, I don't know who to blame. I don't know who to blame for all of this.
I don't know who to blame for all of this. That's what you get when a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, becomes part of the culture. When feminism spends decades treating biological differences between men and women as inconvenient details, eventually reality sends you the bill. And particularly for women who bought into the idea that acknowledging those differences somehow means accepting female inferiority. This is where things get awkward. Suddenly, the feelings collide with something measurable, and everybody is scrambling to figure out who to blame, because it's easy to say men and women are interchangeable when we're talking about abstract principles. It's a whole different conversation when an actual man walks onto a basketball court and the physical differences are standing right there in front of you. Size matters, strength matters, frame matters, athletic background matters. You can say the rules are the rules all day long, but rules don't magically erase biology. And here's the part that makes this such a circus. People actually want to see it, including me. They want to know what happens when the ideology leaves the podcast studio, leaves the comment section, and walks onto an actual basketball court. That's the problem with pretending biology doesn't matter. Eventually, biology shows up. And when it does, my feelings are valid meets something that can actually be measured. Reality doesn't care who's offended.
Yeah, and my friend Enes Kanter Freedom is the first one to say it. And I think people can say this is a gimmick, it's a stunt, but what it does do is force the issue. The WNBA has a decision to make here. They're either a women's league, which is why the W is before the NBA, or they're not a women's league.
It's not logic. Debate even snowball into two ex-NBA players declaring for the 2027 WNBA draft. So what does the newly passed collective bargaining agreement say about that? And how is the WNBA commissioner responding to this?
A memo was released this week, Associated Press received it, where Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, did speak to players and teams and say that they will have a meeting this week with some stakeholders to discuss this issue. This is an issue that is far bigger than the WNBA. It's one that the NCAA has had and passed rules about. The CBA does not specifically regulate this to the extent that the very nuanced conversation requires. I do encourage people to read up on all of the different aspects of this, because I think the conversation right now is a hard yes or a hard no, and it is more complicated than that. So it sounds like the league is going to discuss it, and they've talked about opening their doors and wanting to hear from team leadership in terms of their opinions about this.
And here's why none of this is just a bit anymore. A memo went out this week. The commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, is now sitting down with stakeholders specifically because of this. Not a tweet, not a press conference, an actual meeting on the calendar, because two guys trolling the eligibility rules forced the league's hand. That's the tell right there. You don't call an emergency meeting over a joke. Kanter and Royce didn't get ignored. They got a memo written about them. Something's happening.
So Gabby Williams, a WNBA star, just announced that she would welcome a athlete on her team or against her team. And that's just so wild because there is a known fact that there are biological disadvantages that women have. We are not as fast. We are not as strong. And when is the last time you've seen a WNBA player dunk? And it's wild. I feel like women, we are the reason that we're in this predicament. For some reason, we just love to enable these misogynistic men to fill our spaces. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like men at this stage are fighting harder for women than women are actually fighting for ourselves. Enes Kanter Freedom, a prior first-round pick, just trolled the internet and said that he will be declaring his position for the WNBA draft in 2027. He meets all of the requirements. He's now identifying as a woman.
This is the double standard we keep talking about. She is acknowledging that women have responsibility for what happens inside their own spaces. But then the moment men step into that conversation and criticize what they see, they're labeled misogynists. Make it make sense. For decades, feminism has had no problem criticizing men, masculinity, male behavior, and the institutions built around them. But when men turn around and say, hold on, what about our side of this conversation? Suddenly, the criticism itself becomes the problem. And that's how you create a one-sided conversation. You dismiss the male perspective long enough, eventually men are going to stop asking for permission to participate in the conversation and start responding on their own terms. And now we're watching that happen in real time. So watch her face while Enes Kanter is making a statement. Try not to laugh.
Let's check out what he had to say.
After careful consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines, I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA's eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May 2027. I am definitely not here to mock, make fun of, or disrespect any community or personal choices. I am simply asking that the current rules be applied equally to everyone. The rules that represent the very values many WNBA players and coaches have publicly advocated for. My team and I are prepared to ensure these guidelines are applied equally, consistently, and without exception. And I look forward to the WNBA honoring its stated principles.
What a contrast. We have women that say, come on in, yeah, you can play against me. And we have men with common sense that know there are biological differences saying, hey, put me in, coach. Honestly, if that's what it's going to take to have grown men fighting for women on behalf of women, not even just fight for them, but literally play against them to prove a point, then hey, so be it. Thankfully, we have Sophie Cunningham, who's stating biology and facts and women need to be protected. But unfortunately, we do not have a large, vast majority of women fighting against these men in our spaces. Yeah, just be on the lookout for Enes Kanter Freedom and hopefully more men to fight against the WNBA and prove a point.
Drizzle Drizzle called their bluff. Grizzle Grizzle. Okay, jokes aside for a second, because there's an actual point buried in all this. Here's the part that actually matters under all the jokes. Everyone keeps saying men are fighting harder for women than women are fighting for themselves right now. I'd push back on that framing. It's not harder, it's smarter. Kanter and Royce didn't invade the WNBA. They read the rule book. Self-ID, no further qualification, no exceptions. That policy wasn't written by them. It was built, defended, and celebrated for years on the argument that identity should override biology. No debate needed. Kanter and Royce just picked it up and pointed it back at the people who wrote it. That's the whole move. You can't build a rule on feelings and then act shocked when someone applies it with facts. The WNBA didn't get trolled. It got fact-checked by its own policy.
All we ever do is cover everything except basketball. And it's like, what are we doing? There's so much. Like, you can talk about other things. I think those are great stories. I think it shows fans, who people are outside of the court. But I also think we got to keep the main thing the main thing.
I don't know whether to laugh. I don't know whether to cry, because like I've said in other videos, this league is the anything but basketball league. The storylines around this league are never about basketball. And I didn't realize what I was signing up for by covering this league to the extent that I have been covering it for the past 3 years. Like, I actually like sports. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about drama and negativity. And it's literally, that's the thing that's in your face. The WNBA is no short of like clout and PR. They're in the news every single day. They're in the news every single day. Unfortunately, it's just all negative all the time. It's always something. It's always something. And now, because of the recent discourse that's been happening over this past week that has distracted us from literally every single basketball thing that could be talked about within this league, because of that discussions, now you have a former NBA player, Enes Kanter, who was declaring for the WNBA. In this video, at this current time, it was uploaded like 2 hours ago, 5 million views, 50,000 likes in 2 hours.
An absolute disgrace. That's what one fan is calling the decision from referees during this moment at a WNBA game on Saturday. Chicago Sky guard Dejani Carrington was ejected and charged with a flagrant 2 foul because of this block against Indiana Fever player Sophie Cunningham. Now, the moment escalated when both players had to be held back from going at one another. And when asked why Cunningham was not issued a technical foul for pushing Carrington after that play, refs called the reaction acceptable due to the severity of the initial contact. Now, Carrington blasted the Indiana Fever team after being axed from the game. This is what she posted on Threads. I want to bring in Yahoo Sports women's basketball reporter Cassandra Negley to give us a play-by-play of what's really going on here. Can you walk us through the foul Dejanay received here and why fans are outraged by that explanation from the referee?
Yeah, so the foul decision is based on the windup, the follow through, the high potential for injury, and a player in a vulnerable position. What the referee saw, and you heard this on the broadcast, was that Dejanay Carrington came in. It didn't look like from that play that she was going for the ball, and she grabbed Sophie's face. And that would be everything that levels up to a flagrant foul 2, which is unnecessary and excessive. Whereas a flagrant foul 1 is simply unnecessary. And with a flagrant foul 2, she's automatically ejected. So that was the play. As for Sophie, after it, the ref did determine that it was warranted, I guess, that they have these words and this kind of dust up.
And funny enough, this is actually how I first heard of Sophie Cunningham. Not the comments, not the eligibility debate. A flagrant foul, a face grab, both players getting held back from each other on national television. Let's be honest, gentlemen, the WNBA doesn't exactly pull ratings off the basketball. It pulls ratings off moments exactly like this one. Fights, drama, a name trending because someone got ejected. That's the actual engine driving eyeballs to this league, and everybody in the room knows it.
And you know who's jumping on board to say, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. This would be so funny. Let's make this happen. It's literally all of the usual suspects. It's all of the people in politics. It's all of the people who are like, oh yeah, we love the WNBA. Nobody does. Nobody in these high media positions, these high political positions that are like, oh, we love the WNBA. We want to support it. You don't.
The WNBA didn't get trolled. It got cornered by its own rulebook, and the fights, the memos, and the meetings this week are proof it's working. Gentlemen, if the rules say self-ID is enough, don't be shocked when someone takes you at your word. And here's the bigger picture worth sitting with. None of this happened because 2 guys decided to be funny on a Tuesday. It happened because a policy got written on feelings instead of facts. And it sat there untested for years because nobody wanted to be the one to push on it. Kanter and Royce didn't build the loophole. They just walked through the door that was already standing wide open. That's the lesson underneath the jokes. Vague rules don't protect anybody. They just delay the moment somebody calls your bluff. Biology doesn't negotiate, and neither does a memo written in a panic after the fact. Fix the rule before reality fixes it for you. Listen to all. Follow none.
Management, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.